Hello again, folks. Today is Saturday, October 10th. Welcome to another edition of Shop Talk. My name is Mike. So I'm out here working in the shop this afternoon on the toy organization project, and I haven't really gotten a whole lot done, but I'm just kind of piecing it together as I go. The only plans that I'm really working from are some hand sketches that I did on the notepad, and I've got some basic dimensioning there, and of course working from no plans or working from some crude sketches can sometimes get you into a little bit of trouble. I'm sure that this doesn't happen to any of you, but I'm about to share with you what happens when you don't have some plans or you're not building a project by plans. Well, most of the time. So I've gotten ahead of myself a little bit, and I've gotten to the point where now I'm having to deal with that mistake. So I'm in the middle of this toy box toy organization project, and I had glued on the hardwood edging on two of the side panels for one of the taller units, and then I ripped it down the middle on a table saw like I'd seen, which worked really well. The problem with that is the side panels are going to extend up past the top, because this is all plywood project, and so that hardwood edging actually needs to be mitered on the corner. And so, to give you an example, here's one of the side panels, okay, and here's what I've had to do to try to work around this problem. So this piece was already glued on, and then I realized, well, that needed to be a mitered corner, and so so I'm having to try to work around it. I basically scored it on the miter saw just to get my cut line, and I tried using a handsaw to cut that miter, which one of them went so, this one not so much. I'm going to have to clean this face up with a chisel, try to clean it up. And then I took it over to the table saw with the crosscut sled, and I tried cutting the rest of this piece off up to that miter. So I got into it a little bit right there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but of course I still have to trim the face and the back face of these to get them to the same thickness as the plywood. So hopefully that'll clean up some of that. The other one turned out a little bit better, but it's still not perfect, which of course I'm a perfectionist, but I realize when I make mistakes that, you know, we all make mistakes. So again, I don't know if this happens to any of you. I'm sure it doesn't happen to any of you, but this one turned out a little bit better. I've got a pretty good face here. I might have to clean it up just a little bit to make that miter come together, because I'm going to have another hardwood edge on this piece, and this will actually be the side panel. So it'll have a hardwood edge and a hardwood edge on the front, and then the lip or the top of the cabinet of the unit will actually be kind of flush with the top of this hard edge. So that's my and we'll see how it turns out. I've got some mahogany that I sliced up, and I'll show you what I've got here. So this is some of the mahogany right there that I'm using for edging, and on the fronts of these panels I've got a 2-inch hardwood edge that'll be on the bottoms of the panels, and then on the tops they'll actually have an 1.5-inch edge, and the sides of the cabinets will have this 3/4 by roughly 5/8 inch edge, and of course the top will have it as well. And that's where I messed up right there, was on the corner. That piece actually needs to be mitered. So you live and learn. I'll have to work around that little and deal with that. So one of the things that I had been talking about with a couple other woodworkers this week, specifically Matthew Morris, was lumber. He posted a video on a trip to the lumber yard and showed how he goes to a local lumber yard and selects wood for his projects. And unfortunately, where I live, I don't have the luxury of having a lumber yard close by that carries some nicer hardwood for projects. So I basically have to find it wherever I can. Oftentimes that may be on the side of the road, someone throwing out some wood, old furniture, an old bed frame, a headboard, or that sort of thing. And then sometimes I do resort to Craigslist. And I think Matt Cremona has mentioned that before on his channel as well, looking on Craigslist. And one score that I did find last year on Craigslist was this mahogany and some cherry that you see directly behind me on my lumber rack. So I was in the middle of the project for the Chief's table that I built for a Chief Master Sergeant friend of mine who was retiring after 30 years service in the Air Force. And I've got a video, kind of photo slideshow of that build on my channel, and I'll post a link in the description below if you'd like to watch that. But we built that kind of as a collaboration together. We came together and kind of designed it together based on what he wanted, and we actually went and selected the lumber together. I found the Craigslist posting, and over in a city not too far, about an hour's drive from here, we drove over and looked, and it was an older gentleman who was retiring. He had a cabinet shop, and he'd had all this lumber in his cabinet shop for years, and much of it was this Honduran mahogany that you see behind me. He had some 4/4, 5/4, 8/4, and almost 12/4 mahogany, and it was just a beautiful pile of wood. He also had quite a bit of cherry and some black walnut, and basically he had it priced for this region of the country. He had it priced incredibly low, very reasonable, and I think I paid about $8 a board foot for the mahogany. Now I'm talking mahogany that's 12/4 thick, and some of these boards are 8, 9, 10 inches, almost 12 inches wide. And even though these boards are shorter, as you can see, I've cut these down. Those top ones are about 9 feet. The boards, when I got them, were actually almost 15, 16 feet long in those widths. So it was really, really dry. He'd been air drying it in his shop for probably 15 years. And so it was really dry. I've not put a moisture meter on it, but it's incredibly dry lumber. Very straight, very flat. Just needs to be milled up and used. And so essentially I bought as much as I could absolutely afford. And I later went back and bought a few more boards. We bought some cherry for the Chief's table, as well as quite a bit of mahogany. I got a little bit of cherry for myself for some projects I'd like to build in the house, as well as just a few pieces of the black walnut. And so basically I'm set in that particular species of lumber for a long time. So now the mahogany that I'm using on this project for the toy organization is actually not this mahogany. It actually mostly came from a headboard that my stepfather found many years ago in a barn that was being destroyed. So he'd pulled the headboard out, and it had basically sat in storage for years. He passed away, and as my mom and I were cleaning up the shed, we happened upon this headboard. It really was in pretty bad shape, but after cutting it down and running it through the planer and kind of cleaning it up, the boards are actually pretty nice. And it was rather thick. It was nearly a full inch thick, and so I thought this would work really well for the edging on this particular project. So that's what I'm using. But so that's really what's been going on in the shop this week. I haven't had a lot of time in the shop during the week because I've had so many things going on, both with work and with my schedule with our children and other things that are just going on in our lives right now. So I just have this little bit of time this weekend to work on this cabinet, running into some issues, but just kind of working through those issues. Wanted to share that with you. I hope to also at the end kind of provide a couple of still shots of the sketches and that I'm working from, what I'm what I'm doing with this project, and I'll kind of keep you posted along the way. But I'm curious, how do you go about getting lumber for projects in your area if you don't have a dedicated lumber yard or hardwood dealer that's local to you? If you would just answer that in the comments section below, I'd appreciate it. You know, it can be a challenge for some folks that really don't have the resources in the larger cities like some of you have. And so I'm just curious to know what you guys do. That's about it. I appreciate you watching. Again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe, and also give me a thumbs up on the videos if you like them. Feel free to leave comments as well. And also, if you would, please share my channel with others. I'm not looking to get into this full time, but I'm basically would like to share the knowledge and skills that I have with some of you, because I've learned so much from so many on YouTube. And the more we share each other's channels and this information, really the better for everyone. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.